Hi, I'm Shelley, the Serenity Doula, and this is Seb, my assistant for the day. We're going to talk a little bit about the uterus and the cervix and what happens to it during labour today. So with our uterus, we have different types of layers of muscles. We've got these longitudinal muscles that come up. These are the strong ones that are really important in labour. We have circular muscles around the base in a different layer. And then we also have muscles that are in a middle layer which crisscross around the blood vessels in the uterus. So when you have a contraction, it actually constricts the blood flow slightly, and then as the contraction relaxes off, the blood flow to the uterus is restored. So this is why sometimes your baby's heart rate dips a little bit during contraction and then comes back to normal when the contraction is over. And it's also the thing that they're monitoring for if you have syntocinon drip, as the contractions with the artificial oxytocin can sometimes be more intense, stronger, and a little bit disorganised. And so sometimes that can constrict the blood flow and make the baby a little bit unhappy. So that's what they're keeping an eye on. So during pregnancy, the cervix at the base is tucked up posteriorly, and as you get towards the end of your pregnancy, towards your labour, the cervix comes from this backward and up position to face downwards towards the vagina and the exit of the body. Now, initially, in that first or before labour even starts, you get Braxton Hicks contractions. So you get kind of contractions where the uterus is squeezed. It's just practicing limbering up, getting a little bit stronger, ready for labour itself. But as you can see, it doesn't really do anything to the base there. But as you start to get into labour, the contractions concentrate at the superior part of the uterus, and they start drawing the fibres up here. Yes, we'll be careful it doesn't pop here. So they're drawing up at the top here. And as you can see, it starts to thin at the base here. So this, where the muscle is thick, starts to thin out and draw up into the rest of the uterus. So you need to stay really relaxed in the pelvic floor here and just allow the contractions to happen. It's just starting to draw everything up here. So you see how it's thinning and disappearing? And this is before the cervix even starts to dilate at all. So your body is actually working really hard to draw all those muscle fibres up and out of the way. So don't be disappointed if you are assessed, if you have an exam.
Don't be disappointed.
No, and the cervix isn't dilated, because it is doing a lot of work to draw all of those muscle fibres up and out of the way to make space for the baby before the dilation actually starts to happen. So as you get the contraction and the relaxation, giving you time to rest, and it's drawing up, and you see then the cervix is starting to dilate with each movement. So it's getting wider as those top fibres contract, and the baby is being pushed downwards. The head is engaging there on the cervix, and you see as it's widening, and with each contraction you get the baby's head bobbing down and then going back a wee bit, bobbing down and going back a wee bit. It's all very normal, allowing the stretching of those tissues.
That's loud.
It's making a squeaking sound, isn't it? Ready for the baby to be born. You see? Yeah? Getting that nice dilation there. And you get to a point where the baby doesn't bob back up so much anymore as they're coming out. And then they're born! Hey, congratulations. So the point really is that the muscles need to work in harmony. If you are tense... No, you can play with the ball now. If the... I hope you don't do that with your baby. Lucky you're not having any siblings, eh? That base... the base part of the uterus, those strong round muscles at the bottom there, they need to really relax to be drawn up. So if you have tension in the pelvis, it means that those upward long fibres are fighting against those circular fibres at the bottom. So one's pulling one way, one's pulling the other. It's a bit like a tug of war. So you're fighting backwards and forwards. So what you want to do is have your pelvis really relaxed and loose. And this is why your jaw really relates to your pelvis. So this is why having your jaw and your face really relaxed in labour helps to relax the muscles of the pelvis. So you can do different breathing techniques to help that. So yawning is helpful, giggling and laughing is helpful, doing horse lips. Do you know how to do horse lips? So blowing to make your jaw really relaxed, you have to go. Can you do that? And it's good because that's brilliant, yeah, and it makes you laugh too, which helps release oxytocin, which again is going to help the muscles relax. So the oxytocin is strengthening those contractions and it's increasing the relaxin, so it's allowing the pelvic floor to relax. So all that cycle of building that oxytocin is going to really help. So as those ones relax at the base, the ones at the top can draw up. And then as you saw with the balloon and the ball there, once you've got the cervix open at the bottom and dilated, these strong fibres at the top that were pulling and drawing up to open out at the base, they then change in their nature to become pushing down. So they push downwards and force the baby outwards. So they're pushing down from the top and forcing the baby outwards. So you get that change in nature in the contractions. So that's often a point that we call transition in labour. So towards the end of that cervical dilation, it can feel incredibly intense. And often people say things like, I can't do this anymore, I want to go home. Or they start thinking, oh gosh, I need an epidural, even though they've coped really well up into there. And it's quite normal to feel those things. And why you feel those things is it's a transition into a next stage of labour. So during a transition, what happens is the body releases adrenaline. And the reason why this is to make sure that you are in a safe, comfortable, happy place in order to have your baby. Because if you were, for example, living in a cave and you were not safe because there was a creature around, you would get that adrenaline spike, and the adrenaline counteracts the oxytocin and prevents the labour from continuing. So it's points where the body can stop and break if you need to. Okay, so it's quite normal to feel those things of doubt. But if you know they're coming,
then make sure it's not a spider.
Well, make sure it's not a spider, yeah. Well, spiders aren't really that. They're more scared of you than you are of them, aren't they? So welcome those moments of doubt and worry, because they mean that your labour is progressing really well. And if you can breathe through them and relax and recognise them for what they are, which is transitions to the next phase of labour, it can be really helpful. And once that dilation has happened completely and the contractions are turning into those pushing down contractions, they feel very different in nature, and they can be a lot more easy to cope with. Often people find them quite pleasurable, and you can help work and breathe with them to push your baby out. So that's a little bit about cervical dilation. So this is your part that you have to say about the subscribing.
Like and subscribe to this video and hit that notification bell.
Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.